gentlemen, and welcome to another GeekVerse review episode. This time talking about Dexter: Original Sin. I'm one of your hosts, the Mad Dog, Kirkland Patzer. And who am I?
I am the can't compete with that Taylor Field.
Can't compete with that, Taylor Field. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been with us for, I guess this is only our second week doing Dexter because we compiled the first 3 episodes into one single episode there, but. Yeah, if you're back again, thanks for coming. We're excited to give our thoughts on what's been cooking on this Dexter Original Sin show. Before we get to all that, we'll get just a couple of plugs. And by just a couple, I mean quite a few because it's been a freaking busy end of the year for us here at Geekverse. Lots of content in the month of December, whether it's reviews or news, just all that stuff. We've been squeezing out the last of the toothpaste packet, just to end off 2024. And I feel like we're getting to the end, but there's still more for us to unravel. But some of those things are, we got Creature Commandos reviews dropping weekly, me and Taylor. We got Star Wars Skeleton Crew between me and Taylor. Of course, we're here for Dexter. We've also dropped Nosferatu review. It sounded weird in my mind when I said that, but we got War of the Rohirrim review. We've got, early this month I did a September 5 review that's still in the feeds. I feel like I'm missing other juice there. What's another review that we just recently did?
Oh,
Sonic 3. That's the one. That's the one I was
yes.
missing. So yeah, Sonic 3 is on the feeds. And yeah, no, it's a great place to be on the feeds. But an even better place to be is on our Patreon, where you can get, pardon me, early exclusive content, everything ad free. And yeah, it's just the single greatest way to support us. We have different tiers on there. At the highest tier, we have our Patreon producers, who are Aaron Braden, April of Darkness, Jack Grant, Muds, Sam, Superbad Mike, Good God Loves Me 69, Jeremy Renner, Charlie Randall. We love each and every one of you, and thank you for supporting us at the highest tier, because we are independent podcasters, and that is how we're able to distribute juicy content in our holidays. We're busy eating turkey, getting the tryptophan in us, but we got to be getting these reviews and just episodes out for the listeners. But I don't know. Without further ado, there's probably some other things to say in there, but I just want to talk some Dexter. Taylor Field, are you ready to jump in?
I'm ready to
jump in
jump
the blood.
Ready to jump
All
in.
right. What did you think about episode 4, Fender Bender?
I think that's the title, Fender Bender.
Yeah.
Ooh, I think I liked it a lot more than maybe some of our other fellow Geekverse members, but I'm not gonna point fingers or name names.
Breaking the
I
fourth
think
wall. It was Travis Snell. Okay, yes, I'm gonna name names here. He was popping off in our group chat. He had some grievances, which we will bring up.
we'll address them. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this episode. I thought it was great, and it concluded on just that classic Dexter kind of cliffhanger that's been making me want more. And I think that you really get to see our characters make some interesting decisions here. You got Dexter kind of going full steam ahead, really trying to take advantage, and I feel like he's manipulating Harry, right? Not Harrison. I always get those two names
Yes, you got.
conflicted. I feel like he is manipulating Harry into certain things. Well, he's presenting, and this isn't a spoiler. He's presenting certain reliable, well, maybe not reliable. That's up for debate. He's presenting information to Harry, and I feel like that is still him manipulating certain things, and the way he talks to Harry is him trying to manipulate the situation a little bit. My dark passenger, all that kind of stuff. And I like that because I feel like we get to see a lot of that later on with how he tries to justify his actions with certain things. And the way that this episode was going, I really did think that, okay, there's going to be a big mistake that happens here. And while mistakes are made, it goes the way that I was not expecting. And I'm happy with it. I thought it was really, really quite something. And again, we're getting more backstory involved with these characters too, and of course Deb just making very bad decisions, and it's hard for me to kind of affiliate that this Deb is the same Deb that becomes a cop, a really, really good cop in the actual show, because this Deb is just The actress is fantastic. I think she's doing an amazing job as this character. And this character is just really pissing me off and bothering me. Hence my nickname, which we'll get into spoilers. We'll bring that up because it's such a brutal scene that she has, and she's a really good actress.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, I'm continuing to love this show. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Once the show is all said and done, I don't want to overcommit to things right now. We got Daredevil retros in the works right now. We're watching. There's plenty other retros coming up, and of course our schedule's already bunged up. But man, I want to jump back into Dexter after watching this show. It's totally capturing the same magic and elements of what that show had for me, at least in early portions of the show. So yeah, I think that they're doing a fantastic job at just capsuling that and but still making it feel like it's a different era in Dexter's journey. It doesn't just feel like they're remaking season 1 or anything. Like it does feel like it is a different show, mainly because we have different characters in different periods of their lives. Someone like Harry, like we didn't really get him to the extent of where we have him here. Obviously, Deb is in a completely different area of her life at this point in time versus the original show. So I think they have enough here that is different, but I'm continuing to like our cast and crew. I think I'm starting to like Christian Slater more in the Harry role, but it's still, as I said in the previous episode, it's just I just kind of see Christian Slater on screen, but I am starting to maybe look past that a little bit more, and I think it's just due to how good his like on screen chemistry is, whether it's him and the other police officers or him and Dexter, or even like the few scenes that we have between him and Deb. I see where you're coming from with Deb. I feel like I still really like this version for where we are in the
Mm-hmm.
timeline. I'll go into that more when we get into the spoiler section of the episode. But yeah, I think it's still really, really solid. Patrick, I forget his last name, but the actor that's playing Dexter, I think he's so great. Like all of his mannerisms of being like I'll say like the daytime Dexter, like when he's just like the quirky, nerdy guy working the forensics. I think it's like pretty dead on to Michael C. Hall's version. So huge credit there of just like little things that he does with his shoulders or like I don't know, just little smirks here and there that he does like when he's playing the everyday Dexter, which is literally like a role that he plays because that isn't his like what he actually is on the underneath. Like he has this dark passenger with him, but I think he's just doing such a good job at portraying that version of the role. And yeah, I think this episode had a wild ending, and it was an ending that I'm like, fuck, I gotta wait a week to watch this. Like I just want it now, which is what you really want for these weekly episode reviews. So you want the people feasting for more, and um yeah, no, I might be like a couple little nitpicks here and there, but overall I still think this was really, really solid. And yeah, no, it's a good time. It's funny, I guess minor spoiler. There's a character that's introduced in here. Mad Dog is his name, which is my nickname. And man, I'm like, this is the exact same role that he has in the Matrix. It seems like Cipher. I guess I can
That's
say it
right. That's where he
is
was from. I
yeah,
couldn't pinpoint
Joe
it.
Pantoliano. That's the actor's name. He plays
Oh,
Cipher in The Matrix. Of course, the great betrayal that he does in that movie. I guess spoilers for The Matrix, 1999 movie. I apologize, but I just couldn't get that character out of my mind. I'm like, man, this is just like Cipher if he like escaped the real world, and he's just doing like his own side gig now. So that was kind of funny for me to get through. But no, I liked everything that was going on here. I think it's really great. I'm really digging this show, and yeah, no, I recommend it to people. I still believe that it's better if you watch the original show first. Obviously, the episode 1 has a big spoiler of like what happens for the continuation show, but
yeah.
for many other reasons, like beyond that, I still think it's really good to jump into this. Even just like things that they're mentioning with the mom and obviously that big eventuality that's going to happen with her because we're getting like flashbacks with her and we're just getting closer to that event and they're like mentioning names that she's getting closer to and I'm like, oh my god, this is so sad, especially now that we're like seeing more of the character. It's just an impending doom that's coming. So yeah, no, I'm digging it though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am too. Uh, impending doom. Like we'll talk more about that in the spoilers, but it's good you bring that up because I feel like there's a few things, a few characters that we see here that's impending doom for sure, and it's only because we know where things go in the story, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah, exactly.
but
Cool. Anything else?
I
Spoiler
think
free wise?
that's it. Spoiler free wise.
We'll hop, skip, jump. Maybe we'll slide a quick little ad break here, and then when we come back, we'll unravel the story. So we'll be right back. All right, we are back. Taylor Field, where do you wanna? You wanna start with Deb? Because
Yeah.
you were mentioning you're not loving some of her life decisions here, which definitely questionable. I think maybe I'll just start my opening statement on the defense of Deborah Morgan here. She's doing some sussery things, especially for being. I feel like I keep forgetting and like thinking that she is older than she is, but here she reaffirms that she is in high school, like she is a student. So this it's just I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't adventurous as a high schooler, but just some of the things that she's doing here are extremely questionable. However, like the things that she's doing are obviously very different than what happens in the original show because by that point she's already a cop. So obviously she's being more by the book and not just being off the rails, going to these parties, meeting guys and like doing coke and whatnot and just partying all the time. But I think that like a big character trait of what Deborah Morgan has throughout the whole events of the original Dexter show is being someone that was not like the focal point of like her parents. Like obviously they don't have their mom, and then even in that show they in the original show like she still stressed how Harry always was just like had a way better relationship with Dexter, so she was always envious of that, and I think that's clearly being shown here. Like she's mentioning it pretty much every other episode, how they're just like obsessed with each other because they're both just in their little cop realm and they really don't have any time for her. And this episode, like she kind of blows up at them, like in that episode, how they don't even know that like she's like the captain of the cheers or not the cheer squad, the volleyball squad. And there's just a lot of big things happening in her life, and she's just not getting that attention that she kind of should be getting from at least like a parent or family member or anything like that, right? So then she's kind of forced to get those just affirmations from like the outside realm, right? Whether it's her going to the clubs and just getting hit on by guys or have guys like buy her drinks or whatnot. Like that's just how she's kind of seeking that out. And I think that's pretty, I think that's like, it's not like that's happening throughout the whole show of Dexter, like the original Dexter, but I still think, especially later on, like it seems like she does struggle with that, just self-confidence because she never really has that reaffirmations. I hope I'm using that word right. I've said it a couple of different ways now, but I just think that like what I'm seeing here as an origin for the character, it fits for where Deb is later on in the original Dexter show. And I definitely think that even like looking at this character, if Harry dies, and like she loses that father figure and she kind of just has to grow up really fast, I think that I can easily see her grow up to be this like badass cop that's by the book and doing everything as she should be. So yeah, that's kind of my my defense for this version, but I see where you are coming from. I think I really wouldn't have expected her to be, pardon me, I got the little hiccups now, but this off the rails as an origin character, especially her being in high school. But she doesn't have the best home life. There's definitely worse home life out there, but she's just kind of ignored by Harry, and obviously Dexter's doing his own thing. So
yeah, she's buying drugs from a Blockbuster guy and going to the clubs and drinking boxers like alcohol and stuff like that, just making bad decisions. And that's where it's so funny to think that this is the character that becomes like a really, really good cop in like Harry's legacy. But yeah, I just think though that her being upset about not being able to have the truck because her brother and her dad are doing their own kind of meeting or whatnot, and just the whole line of where the dad's like, I'm sorry you couldn't take the truck, but like there was a dead kid hanging in downtown or whatever, and then she's just like, well fuck, I can't compete with a dead kid. Like it's just like, Jesus, the girl's not had a great upbringing, and I absolutely blame Harry for that. But it's just a nasty dynamic, and it's just oh, it's like could you imagine
Yeah.
if your daughter calls you on the phone, leaves a voicemail, where it's like I'm staying at so and so's, and you just hear a guy laughing in the background. It's like oh
Yeah, but it's also like Harry doesn't fucking care, right? He's
no,
like,
he
well,
just
that's a
pops his
bad
beer.
lie. Then he like cracks open his beer, goes
That's
watch the
right.
game or whatever. So it's like, man, like clearly he has things in his own life and he has the whole Dexter dynamic, but like he's very much is like as long as she's doing stuff and she's kind of out of my way, it's working out. And obviously it's a pretty unhealthy dynamic to have for a father, especially for like your daughter kind of needs you, you know, like this is kind of a big period of her life. And like multiple times she's like crying out for some help and support there. And like even like that line where you said like can't compete with a dead kid, like I feel like it's almost like brute, like it's just a lot of emotions. And like it's so raw that like Harry would just be upset with how that was going. But like she didn't fucking know this, right?
No.
It's as if he just brought that up and threw it in her face. So like I definitely don't blame her at all in those instances. So um yeah, I think I'm just feeling bad for the character because she is doing these things, but I just feel like there's a lot of pieces at play. Like when she comes home and like, yeah, so I won't be home for dinner. Here's some money, and she just calls this hot Italian guy or whatever the hell he is. I'm like, man, like this is so like yeah, like upsetting, but also like not unbelievable for you know like an 18-year-old girl or however old she is. Um, yeah, just anyways, I don't blame her, but let's hear where it come from.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't blame her either because I mean, yeah, it's just it's bad upbringing and it's all fucked up, and she's got her like she's got her one good friend, but even though she became captain of the volleyball team, she's got like her friends. I guess not really her friends. Her squad mates just ditch her, and you got that one nasty friend who's like
This is
fuck
such
her.
like a unhealthy relationship too with the team, where I feel like the whole team dynamic is them just trying to like win them over. Like, well, I'm gonna drive to the beach, and then the second that like this other girl shows up, like the whole team just leaves them. And like I gotta imagine like my own friend group be like, oh yeah, we'll just squeeze in, or like we'll divvy up and get a ride. It's like see you later, loser. Like find your own way to the beach. It seems so cheesebally in my mind. And yeah, I don't love the that's kind of like her threat. Like right now, you know, it's just trying to impress her friends and being popular. And I don't know, like what happens like is entertaining, but for plot wise, I'm definitely more invested in stuff that's going on between Harry and Dexter.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I guess speaking with Harry and Dexter here, you get them kind of revisiting maybe more so Harry revisiting than Dexter, although you can see it's still evident in Dexter and we know his backstory, but it's not like he doesn't understand why because he sees the dead kid, he's not feeling good about it, he's feeling a little bit weak at the knees, and Harry through his flashbacks we see him sleeping with Dexter's mom and he's going to the archives section of the Miami PD is like, hey, can you make sure that Dexter can't like look up anything and figure out where he was found in the shipping container, all that kind of stuff. So he's keeping it pretty tightly wound up so no one else can really figure this out. But you see it triggers for Dexter and they have kind of like a brief heart to heart about it. And then Dexter kind of bonds with that other cop. I can't remember his name, but the other cop kind of
Yeah.
boosts up his morale a little bit like, oh, you can do it.
Yeah, no, I really like that character that Dexter was interacting with. And I feel like there's moments like this where you just like forget where Dexter is just like an actual serial killer, you know? Like he is just a straight up murderer because even when he's interacting with like the captain's kid when he's playing the Game Boy and he's just kind of like bonding with him and gives him a Twix. And he just seems like such a genuinely nice guy. Like I guess that it's a good thing that he's able to channel these things because he would just be more of a monster. But at the end of the day, he still is murdering people. So and like again, that's just where I credit like the actor of just being able to like put on that like persona of what the Dexter, you know, day to day Dexter is. And that's something that Michael C. Hall was so good at doing, just the balance there. And then later on when he goes like full monster mode and you just feel like he is this menacing killer. So just the differences there. The stark contrast, I guess, is just it's really felt in those moments. But no, I really like all the moments that Dexter was having with those side characters, and even just like the weight that he felt because of like finding the dead kid, and just that really stuck with him the whole time. Even though he is used to seeing dead bodies, he is a killer. Like he still just gets so caught off by stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's another thing that what this show is like something that I'm really appreciating about the show is just getting those scenes between Harry and Dexter because like he is alive here, so we can like see like they both come back from work and they're just kind of talking about stuff. So that's just something which is a fresh dynamic that we don't really get. Obviously, he speaks to Harry when he's dead, but that's just kind of ghost form. So it's much different in the sense of actually having them there. So I like those moments and just Dexter being the good guy, Dexter.
Yeah, and him being the good guy, I mean, he was trying to find another victim here, and I feel like he's really just picking up because he hasn't killed anyone. I mean, until he kills that nurse, that was his first, and then you get this other guy that he kills, and now he's got his target on the third person
Mad
here,
Dog.
Mad Dog, and that's where I feel like he was kind of manipulating Harry because he drops the evidence in front of him, and he's like, "Oh, this guy, like da 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 da, like oh." Let me use what you taught me, and he's throwing in like, oh, this guy he's gonna kill a witness, he's gonna, all these other people he's gonna hurt, so forth. So I feel like he's really laying it on and trying to manipulate his dad, like a kid would, like pointing out all the reasons why he wants to get an Xbox or he deserves an Xbox or whatever. It's just he needs to have it. And so with Dexter here getting his wish and getting the green light to go and kill him, uh, yeah, he could have been a lot more careful, and he's not using the drugs yet either. He's still just like knocking out. But
Oh my god, yeah.
it's funny how things kind of go real sideways. It works out for him, but
I
it's
don't know though.
crazy.
It's not like it's just a clean. Okay, perfect. That's dealt with. Like just talking about the ending here. Like when he does escape, runs out, gets hit by the car, and best case scenario he dies. Right, so he can't really speak about anything that just happened.
Oh,
But
he's
like,
dead.
but like well, cops are gonna go to his house, right? And there's obviously so much evidence of like a full-on roughhousing things going on. There's probably bruises on his actual body. Why is he naked? Like, there's a lot of questions out here that is gonna have breadcrumbs, and yeah, I just think it was a really shocking way to end the episode because now it's like, what's Dexter gonna do? Does he have to run back and like clean up the whole house of like any evidence that he was even there? Probably. He smashed up a bunch of guitars. Don't think he was really wearing gloves in any of those
Right.
moments. Maybe he was. Maybe I missed it. But there's just a lot of like, holy fuck, pick up the pieces here. Like how can we roll with the punches and just adapt to what just happened. So I love the way that the episode ended. Honestly, especially that there was such a big emphasis on this guy isn't a regular guy. Like he is a hitman. He is a professional. Like you can't just bag him in his house. He kind of did get the upper hand of him, but I knew as soon as he undid his feet, the old eyeballs, Cipher awoke and just started popping off. And yeah, I just like the danger. I think that is at play when Dexter's trying to take out people because I emphasized it last week when we were talking about it, but like he's not a professional at this point in time. He doesn't know the exact dosage or any dosage to give people to like actually make it a clean takeout. So yeah, I like how messy it is.
And that's where I honestly thought that, okay, this is Dexter making a mistake. That he's done the research, he's done the homework, but this guy is not a killer. Because, I mean, he was convincing to me. He was into foreclosures, but when Dexter, yeah, undid the feet and this guy like wraps his legs around Dexter's head and like flips him, I was like, okay, no, this guy's definitely guilty. He's a contract killer because he's got all the dance moves here. But
Yeah, it was clean. That was like
it
some
was
black belt
clean.
Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. So I'm glad that that's the case and that they went the route that they did, and it wasn't just him making a mistake and killing the wrong person. Because I feel like they were rushing it a little bit, and he couldn't really get the right information aside from just this witness testimonies person that was like almost fully shredded in the shredder. So yeah, like I think that they
Yeah.
they did a good job.
Yeah, and like that moment for me, it's like this is pretty fucking convenient. It's like a half shredded piece of thing that he could just like totally piece it together. There's scripture on the back that like details more of what's happening there, and this is something that, like it's happened a couple times already. I had some beef with the whole nurse killing, And now that I'm watching, I'm like, maybe this was just always a thing in Dexter. Like, I just haven't watched the show in a while, where there is just a lot of lucky moments that happen. 'Cause yeah, I really thought it was going to be set up actually that this wasn't actually a killer, and it was a complete thing where like Dexter thinks that he has him dead to rights. He thinks he has this evidence, and then he rushed it, and then he didn't actually, and something bad happens to like an innocent person, and then that's like a big thing that Harry can throw in his face to like really emphasize that like you have to be 100% sure. I really thought it was going to be going that way because it just seemed way too fast and way too lucky that he like everything was falling in place until I see the naked Brazilian jiu-jitsu, when he's popping the moves on him. I'm like, oh my god, okay, no, he is just the Navy SEAL like that we thought he was the whole time. So I guess maybe a little bit of a con there because I would have wanted more juice there on just the emphasis of because that's a big thing in the code, right? Like you have to make sure that they actually are completely guilty. So
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that maybe in the show we'd be seeing a moment where he didn't do that and it fucked everything up. So then that's what really solidifies the importance of that. But it doesn't really seem like that's what we're getting here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a reoccurring thing because we see that in the first season. I mean, all the seasons really, but yeah, him just being aware that he's got to find evidence to confirm that this is someone he has to kill or someone he has permission to kill, I guess, as per the code. And I think a lot of times in the actual like the main Dexter show, he finds maybe their trophies, and that's his confirmation,
Mm-hmm.
or he finds other little things
I
they
just can't
keep.
remember if it says like easy because like we're talking about the nurse one, how she just fucking has like the kill list like in her
Hmm.
work drawer, like really, and Dexter like just like saw her like 2 minutes ago and he's already found, like it's just really like that's how easy it is. And now that it's
Yeah,
happened a couple times already in this show, it makes me think of like, wow, maybe it just wasn't that clean in the original show, but nonetheless, nonetheless.
yeah.
Um,
Where do I go now?
Bloodlust. Where now? Maybe we'll take a quick little ad break here while we gather our thoughts, and then we'll be right back. All right, we are back. Have we gathered our thoughts? Probably not. I had something written down here. Oh, it was cool to just see Dexter on this boat here. I had to look up his original boat because in my mind I thought it was like the exact same design to what Don't Fret. That was the name of this ship, whereas Dexter Morgan's was a Slice of Life, I believe, and different models for sure. But I just like the moments when he's like, oh, maybe I'll have to get one of these myself one day, and some people might think that's cheesy, just a little bit of a nod to the future of what Dexter is, but it's just I don't know. I like the whole setup and location of what it was. I like how he thought he was gonna have him alone, and then of course he's just it's like a multiple chartered plane. And again, like shout out to the actor that is playing Mad Dog. I think he's got a good level of charisma and
Hmm.
sleaziness to him, where like you are a suspect to him, even though he's putting this big smile on and feeling friendly. So I think he's a good. I think it was a good casting choice for the role.
Yeah, no, I agree. He was, yeah, he was shady when the questions were kind of like piling up and getting a little bit too invasive. It just felt super super shady and redirecting it. But yeah, I enjoyed that whole sequence too, with the charters kind of like piling up. It's not a private charter or anything like that, and yeah, I just feel like these are all little things that kind of come to Dexter as ways to improve because this is a guy who's running a boat and Dexter's gonna like, I want a boat. And so that's a little foreshadow. Like he wants to get a boat and that's how he does his body dumpings. And then I guess you have him see well, he already knows about collecting trophies, but I'm assuming him using medication to like drug the person is inspired from the nurse at the start. But I mean it doesn't have to be. That's just kind of like my head canon.
Nice,
Yeah.
good headcanon. So yeah, we were mentioning Deb already. She's meeting up with this interesting man who works for his father. Seems like it's just a crime syndicate thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Could be tied to the main Estrada guy. I guess that's kind of where my thoughts are going. That's the chap who's like the head of. Oh no, Estrada. Am I mixing up my people right now? Is
I think
Estrada the
Estrada's
one
the
from the
head.
flashbacks? The
That I.
flashbacks? Because
Mm,
Estrada's the one that like chops up the mom, right?
yes. Yeah, there are
And
three
then
guys to blame for that.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna just start going off on. I feel like this character that Deb is interacting with is extremely sus and is potentially linked to like the mob stuff that's happening with this child, like the deceased boy that at the start of this episode, how they keep saying it's cartel related. I feel like this character is also cartel related, and in my mind, I just don't love the idea of like our main threat for like just the police force is now getting intertwined with like Deb, who's kind of off on her own thing. I guess it's a way to like combine the stories, but it just seems, I don't know. It seems like we're adding too much significance on, or maybe like putting an emphasis on trying to make a lot of importance on like making all the characters fit together. I don't think you really have to do that in this show, even though we have the cast on on screen, like we have the characters to write around with. Um, but I don't want them to like overdo it in the sense of trying to do too much because this is still a prequel show, right? Like we still are going to be doing growth and development with these characters
Mm-hmm.
later on. Um, so yeah, maybe I just don't want them to overcomplicate it if that makes any sense at all. But
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. What do you think
Mm-hmm.
about this handsome man with the nice car, nice blue car? You know, he's got the car phone. It's a big deal back in the day.
The car phone, yeah, and the 5 disc CD player.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I don't know what his deal is. I get kind of like that preemptive kind of flashbacks to the Brian being the ice truck killer, and
This is
just
just
how
Brian again,
yeah, just
fucking
Brian
with
again.
Dexter.
Yeah. So I mean, he would be around that age range, but no,
He's been
I
after
think
Deb this whole time.
but
It's not
after
until
Deb,
he's
yeah.
ice truck killer where he really.
I think that him being very private makes you think, okay, it's definitely not anything good. He's redirecting when Deb is asking, and he's changing the topic of conversation, yada yada. But he's got a lot of money, so it's going to be something illegal, that's for sure. Maybe he wants Deb in on it. I don't know why, but hopefully she's in a position where she's trying to do things to spite her dad, and hopefully this guy isn't able to capitalize and take advantage of that, but I feel like he is. I just need a little bit more context and just need to know exactly where he stands because all I have so far is him just being a bit of a flirt. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. What do we got elsewise? I guess the flashback stuff we get a little bit more of just building upon like a fatherly bond
Bond.
between Harry and I'll say Dexter and Brian. Pretty much just Dexter. Brian's pretty fucking weirdo. You know, he opens the door and he's got like 27 fucking lizard tails just lined up in a row. um, we were mentioning last week how the decision to have Harry have like lost a son in the past, like that was a new decision for this show. That wasn't something in the original. I feel like as we're getting more of these flashbacks, I actually like the decision. As fucked up as it is, I think it just adds a lot more of an emphasis on like why he would be maybe like seeking out or not necessarily seeking out but just feel like he has a duty to be a fatherly figure to the keep saying these kids but it's pretty much just Dexter because of course like the boy that he lost and how that was his fault, right? Like he just wasn't paying attention and that's what happened. And I think that weight is something that would weigh on a character for a very long time, if not their whole lives. And just how protective he is over Dexter. I think if you think about that being in the back of his mind or just the history there, I think it just makes more sense and just adds to the just the concreteness of their I don't even think that's a word. The concreteness. You know what I'm going for.
Stability.
Yeah, yeah. Just the strength of that bond and why he would want to really be that role for Dexter. So as the show goes on, I like the decision to switch it up for the new canon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh no, I had something else too. It's nice to see more Dexter just doing his little investigative thing. That's always something from the original show that I admired when he's doing his like splatter recreations and just explaining, you know, always love a good cop show in that
His
sense.
melons.
Yeah, he's got his melons. You have fucking Masuka doing his little giggly laugh, like I don't even remember what he says. Something about like grabbing her melons, and he does this stupid little laugh. Again, I like the amount of Masuka that we're getting in this show. It's not overdone. He comes in there and he has a memorable laugh, and that's kind of it. Oh, that was the other thing I was gonna mention. Like we had a kidnapped judge's son who's like 10 years old or something throughout this whole show. He got his finger chopped off, and start of this episode, he's dead now. He's hanging off of, like, anytime like a child is just murdered on like any type of media is just like just wrenching. Obviously it's a very horrible thing, but I think I was just extremely surprised as well. Like I did not think at all this character would have been killed. But how do you react to that? Because for me, I was very shocked. At first, I thought it was like a dummy or something, like just in denial. I guess I'm like, there's no way that's actually what they did. But yeah, the cartel's that fucked up. They took an ice pick to the back of his neck and just fucking murdered him. So yeah, gut wrenching. But how did that hit for you?
Yeah, like I was definitely surprised. You have the cartel not having any demands of any kind, anything like that. So it's the motives are a little bit unclear, and just the precursor scenes leading up to this, I feel like we didn't get enough kind of information to understand what we're dealing with, and I'm just assuming that they're just playing that off because of where we're heading, and by the end of this season it'll all make sense. I don't know, but I do think it's I think it's kind of odd. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I think if you don't have anything else to add, we can just scattle on out of here.
Let's skittle. Let's scattle.
You want to skittle and scattle? All right,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, we'll be skittling on to our next adventure, and that's where we'll be. So thanks for joining
Love
us.
it.
Until next time, we'll be here. But goodbye.
Bye bye.